Good morning, everyone. Wow. We do have quite a bit to talk about. I want to make sure my sound is good because I just redid my setup. But okay. I don't know, is chilled the word? Disturbed, unnerved? All the things that you encounter emotionally when you realize that something new has happened, something new and disturbing that I don't think we have ever experienced before. And that is that, as you know, yesterday morning, pretty early in the morning, I don't want to say broad daylight, but the sun was appearing outside of the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan around 53rd Street, um, around 6th or 7th Avenue, as a man was gunned down. And at that point, I'm not sure anyone knew who he was. And very quickly, it was revealed what had happened. And specifically, there was, and I'm going to share this with you. This is the CEO of UnitedHealthcare. And he was not in any way a household name. In fact, I'm not sure anyone thought much about Brian Thompson until yesterday, when news was that he was just walking outside of the Hilton Hotel, heading basically toward the front entrance of the building where he was about to attend an investor conference. And it's shocking that it was what was called a targeted shooting, meaning that this man was literally chosen, selected by this assassin. Now, we don't know very much, and I am not going to show you the actual footage because, of course, there are security cameras everywhere. So let me tell you more about what we know. I'm seeing in the comments saying, do you think it was a mob hit? There's some more news this morning. No, I don't think it was a mob hit at all. All indications, my friends, are that the person who did this or hired someone to shoot was someone who was disgruntled about the lack of coverage from UnitedHealthcare. And I'll tell you why that is what we think. Okay, so let me share with you. This is, again, I'm not showing you the footage. I'm showing you something CNN shared. They took this security footage. You can see it's sort of the dim morning light, and they put some highlights, some lights. You can see what is happening. On the left foreground of the screen is the gunman, who is still at large. Excuse me. And I will show you later in the show some images. So perhaps they saw him on a different security camera. You can see the man's face, although he has a mask on. And you can see that this is a guy in a hoodie. He's got kind of a gray backpack. It appears, I can't tell if he's wearing gloves or those are his hands. It looks like gloves. And he is aiming a gun directly at this man in front of him in a blue blazer walking forward on the sidewalk. And apparently he had a silencer. And here's what I'm going to give you some breaking news from this morning. I'm going to back up in a moment and tell you more about this man and about the motive. But we know this morning is that some shell casings were found at the scene where Brian Thompson, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, was shot dead by a masked gunman. This is from Tom Winter reporting here. And in front of a busy, I believe Tom Winter, I'm pretty sure he's NBC News. So these shell casings that were found in front of the Hilton Hotel, this very busy hotel in Midtown Manhattan, they actually had words on them, on shell casings, right? This is why when the police came to the scene, you may have seen photos of people putting cups down. It looked almost like a paper coffee cups over any bit of evidence so it would not be disturbed. That's what they did. And I think these cups yesterday that we saw on the sidewalk, I was wondering what kind of evidence. Obviously, I'm not a forensic I'm not a forensic investigator or journalist, but clearly they were putting these cups over the casings. And now they had examined the casings and they had words written on them. I don't know how big casings are for bullets for this type of gun. I cannot visualize that, but they were big enough to have these words written. One word was deny, the other word was defend, and another word was depose. This is what a senior New York law enforcement official said and confirmed this morning. Now, let's back up and say a few things about this. This gunman appeared to be somewhat skilled. I don't know how skilled, because at one point when he shot, his gun jammed and he was able to unjam it and shoot him again. Apparently he shot Brian Thompson in the back and then also maybe in the calf again. I think there were several shots that he got off against this man. Now, I think I want to tell you a little bit more. I don't know about the man personally, but a little bit more about UnitedHealthcare. I don't know if you realize what a large company it is and what the investor news response had been. So let me share with you, and I just want to be clear with you. I mean, sort of back up. I'm shaken by this. I know members here in the chat, friends of the show, moderators who live in New York, live in that area. I worked in that area when I worked in Manhattan, right at 59th and 5th, and this is like at 53rd and 6th. This is near, right near the subway station. Many of us would take into work, I believe the F line, if I remember it correctly. It's also very unusual for someone to be shot essentially in broad daylight, who is in a targeted shooting. Unfortunately, yesterday, many more people besides Brian Thompson died involving guns, right? Were shot. There were died or injured. And I'm not going to look up all the numbers, but I want to make clear that I care about those people too. I'm singling out this topic because, of course, my area is, essentially law, politics, and breaking news. And of course, with a business angle, because the area of law I focus on is obviously corporations, fraud, securities, regulation, and consumer protection. And what's hard about this story is at the very same time that we're shocked and horrified, there are people who are kind of skipping over the grief process and jumping right into the critique of UnitedHealthcare led by this man. And I believe that we can do both things at once. This is now, of course, thrown him into the spotlight, thrown his company into the spotlight. And I believe we are mature adults here, and we can talk about what this grievance might have been about, as well as who this company is and who. I know corporations, most people don't think of them as people, but of course, because I teach corporation law, I understand that they have entity status. So I want you to take a look at this. This is from an investment website, and I am going to share a little bit more on this. I don't know if you can see this up close, but these literally, I just took the screenshot again this morning. These are, so it would have been, the market's not open, so this would have been as of last night reporting on this website. These are the largest corporations in the United States ordered by revenue. And I don't know if you see this, but UnitedHealthcare Group Incorporated is number 3. I'm guessing, and I might be wrong here, guys. I'm guessing that no one in this chat, because I did not myself know this, that it was number 3. I usually share with my corporations class each semester a sort of a top 10 list. I've done that historically. I didn't do it this year. And it was not on my radar how large this company had grown. So just so you see this in terms of size here, right? UnitedHealthcare is 3rd after Amazon. And I'm going to read you these revenue figures. We're talking about, in this instance, we're talking about $393 billion in revenue. It has more revenue, right? In revenue, we're talking about, this is not net income. This is not profit. We're talking about revenue here. UnitedHealthcare has more revenue than Apple Inc., than Apple. Look at this. We've got Walmart, Amazon, and then UnitedHealthcare. If you look below this, the only other health company is in this sort of top 10 is CVS Health Corporation. But just look at this, and I guess Cencora is there too. But if you look at the top 5 companies, Walmart, Amazon, UnitedHealthcare, Apple, and then of course Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway. Now, why is this relevant? It's relevant because I think it allows you to see how intensely unusual this is. I have never heard of a CEO of a major corporation being the subject of a targeted hit, especially not by what appears to be a disgruntled customer, disgruntled, essentially a disgruntled policy holder. I know we will know more soon, but I want us to take that in for a moment. Now, what I want to now provide to you is very unusual coverage from this investor website. So let me just share. This is a headline because I want to give credit always to the authors here. So this is this investment website. Someone named Serena Trangle put out this story yesterday. United Health exec fatally shot while in New York City for an investor conference, right? So what we do know in this instance is that he was there. Let me just point this out. These were the key takeaways on the website. And one of these kind of, I gasped. So let's go through them. The key takeaways, this was yesterday, were that Brian Thompson, who was they called him the United Health Group executive. He's the CEO, the chief executive, that he was fatally shot while in New York City for an investor conference. He was about to enter that hotel. Apparently, he was staying at a different hotel across the street. He was about to go into the hotel and present for these major investors who are probably very pleased with the performance of the company. He's been CEO of the group's insurance division, UnitedHealthcare. So there's UnitedHealthcare Group, which is that parent corporation that's in the top 3. And then the division, of course, the insurance division, UnitedHealthcare, he is the CEO. Okay, so you've got a holding company and you've got this major subsidiary. So he has run that unit since 2021, according to a company bio. That this is, again, I'm reporting what the investment news is. And then this is ghoulish, but this is just reported out there yesterday, and people were talking about it, that shares of United Health Group, the parent corporation that owns United Healthcare, ticked higher Wednesday morning. That means that the stock went up with news that the CEO had been murdered. And if you don't think that is grim, then I don't know what. I don't know what you would think is grim, but it gets even a little uglier than this. So again, I think we can separate out how horrific it is that this assassination happened. This is not the way to settle grievances. One would hope that law would provide for that. And let me just tell you then that United Healthcare has, like any other big corporation, of course, is going to have litigation. But what's unusual about United Healthcare is that it has recently been subject to major litigation brought by giant public pension funds. And I want to be, as clear as I can about this, because institutional investment, like by pension funds, and mutual funds are essentially my bread and butter when I first got into academia. I was an associate general counsel at Fidelity Investments before I joined a business school, the Eisenberg School of Management at UMass, and then I later went into the legal academy. But my first research and writing was around institutional investors. And I think I mentioned on the show, I think it was Monday, when Elon Musk had his pay package struck down for a second time by the judge. I mentioned a book about executive compensation called Pay Without Performance. And my area initially was looking at the intersection between these giant institutional investors like the Fidelities of the world and the CalPERS Public Pension Fund and so on, and how they behave when it comes to voting on matters put before them. Now, let me just back up and say, I'm going to share this with you, this screen, to get started. So what's going on? And I'm going to get back to the murder investigation in a moment, but let's talk a little bit about UnitedHealthcare's CEO. Okay, so here is this screenshot from some reporting. This is an investigative series that someone launched in 2022. And this is an article by Adam Stone. Class action, this is dated October 14th of this year. So less than 2 months ago, a judge gave class action status, plaintiffs were seeking class action status against UnitedHealthcare, alleging insider trading, fraud, and monopolistic practices. And I'm reading this piece. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. That famous line from the Michael Corleone character in The Godfather Part 3 jumped to mind last week when a little bird came calling, chirping in my ear about a potentially landmark legal development. As many of you know, Hudson Valley patients, so this is something written in the Hudson Valley of New York, Hudson Valley patients were alerted in the fall of 2021 that Caremount Medical had joined Optum Health, which is a UnitedHealthcare subsidiary, a transition that has since wreaked havoc in our local medical healthcare system, as it has in markets across the United States. So, okay, let's tell you more about this piece. And I think I can do this, guys, by pulling up this. I'm going to do my share screen, and I'm going to pull up. Okay, I'm going to share this for you so you can read with me the article I was sharing with you. So again, this is from October 14th. This is a newspaper called The Examiner. And this person, Adam Stone, has been writing this probe about corporate sick care. And he had stepped away from all of his other reporting to report on that. He got pulled back in, so to speak. So here's the deal. And you may have seen reporting on Twitter. I think Ken Klippenstein had mentioned that that the Hollywood Firefighters Pension Fund, this is a local pension fund, a smaller pension fund, had brought a securities fraud complaint against UnitedHealthcare Group and mentioned specific executives, including Brian Thompson, who is the CEO of the UnitedHealthcare subsidiary of that parent corporation. And what this proposed class action was about is they claimed that the corporation had failed to disclose that the Department of Justice had reopened antitrust litigation against them. This is the monopolistic practices allegation. You're supposed to disclose in your public filings if you are under investigation, and they didn't disclose it. And to top that off, while they were in possession of arguably this material non-public information, meaning information about UnitedHealthcare, the corporation that owns this UnitedHealthcare division, right? While they're in possession of information about this conglomerate, instead of sharing it with the public, which they were required to do, instead, the allegations in this lawsuit brought in May were that executives, including Brian Thompson, sold in total more than $100 million in shares prior to disclosure. And this was covered by this journalist here, as well as after that, the Wall Street Journal. Now, CalPERS is a California Public Employees Retirement Fund, I think. I don't know what CalPERS pays for. And just to pay, I'm sorry, who the members of CalPERS are. But I want to look up, and I'm not looking it up on my computer because I don't want to shake I don't want to shake my laptop and ruin the shot. But what I want you to know is I want to actually know about investments. I forgot how many assets CalPERS has under management, but CalPERS is the nation's largest public pension fund. And it's also one of the largest private equity investors in the world. And assets under management, just so you know who's suing UnitedHealthcare and who's accusing Brian Thompson, who is sadly now murdered, accusing him of insider trading. I'd like to have you understand just how big CalPERS is. Hold on one second. I'm looking this up for you. Okay, so as of CalPERS, as of June, so like right after the Hollywood firefighters fund brought the lawsuit, CalPERS had $502 billion, $502 billion in assets under management. Okay, and a chunk of that is invested or is invested in UnitedHealthcare. And I just want to, again, share with you a little more about this article. And I'm going to throw the link. I don't want to blow it up too much in this feed, but I'm going to give you a link right now if you want to follow it. But I will blow it up a little bit so you can see better. And what CalPERS did is try to join the lawsuit. And again, this is a lawsuit about hiding the truth from investors. And while the truth was being hidden about this antitrust investigation, the CEOs allegedly cashed in an unlawful way, which is obviously, if it's true, can both be criminal and also civil. And what we're talking about here to be clear, is what was alleged, and I'm reading this from this article. The plaintiff, meaning CalPERS, this giant pension fund, as well as the firefighters fund, describes a widespread scheme by the corporate behemoth, this is UnitedHealthcare Group, to inflate revenues and manipulate the medical industry. And as a lead plaintiff, this is CalPERS, they're seeking to represent a class of investors, anyone who purchased UnitedHealth Group stock between September of 2021 and late February of 2024. Okay, so the law firm representing them is Robert Geller, Rudman, and Dowd. Now, I'm not giving you an update on that lawsuit. We can get back to that, but I want to give you the backdrop that it's kind of like the Agatha Christie novel, Murder on the Orient Express. Not to be too dark about this, but there probably were a lot of people very angry at Brian Thompson. But only one person, in that movie, everyone wanted the victim dead. Here, I wouldn't go so far. I would say there are a lot of people angry at this man. He arguably engaged in unlawful, if not criminal behavior. But we do not, in our society, have summary executions on the street, and there's no indication that the suspect was a shareholder. Instead, again, based on, as we mentioned, based on this information about the shell casings that they said deny, defend, and depose, it's actually more likely that this was a disgruntled policyholder. Now, there's something else to share with you, which is corporations who are insurance companies are definitely ranked for how good they are at, what percentage of claims for coverage submitted to them end up being, rejected. And I want to let you know that, here, let me just pull this up for you. I'm going to show you what I'm seeing when I put UnitedHealthcare in my Blue Sky stream. And Blue Sky is the nicer place, not as bad as Twitter. Here is what you would see. So I'm going to scroll through this with you. Okay, I think you can see this. Okay, good. And so what do you see here? This is CNN breaking. This was the breaking news from 23 hours ago, right? So this happened around 10 o'clock yesterday ish. This is where he was shot and killed outside the Manhattan Hotel. They said it was an apparent targeted attack. Someone tweeted, someone shared that. We say skeeted apparently on Blue Sky. Someone said, they didn't say shocking. All they said was UnitedHealthcare uses an AI, an artificial intelligence model with a 90% error rate to deny people healthcare coverage. Now, this does not explicitly say, I don't feel bad for the guy, but that's implied. Then there's one of my favorite people I follow on Blue Sky named God. God said, today, the UnitedHealthcare CEO gunned down in New York City in broad daylight. Every single customer of UnitedHealthcare is currently considered a suspect, right? Dark. That's the Agatha Christie comment. I'm not condoning these. I'm actually describing to you how far we have fallen as a society in lacking empathy because of, essentially, the feeling that the people who lead our institutions are in it to line their own pockets and not serve the public good. And healthcare should serve the public good. Okay. And, okay. Now, this is something else. Also pretty dark. I'm going to scroll up so I don't have the person's name. On the right, you see the picture of Brian Thompson, sort of in the clouds, like up in heaven. Today, we remember the legacy of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. And someone put this chart on the left. It says, based on available in-network claim data for plans sold on the marketplace. I don't know if this is, I have not verified whether this is accurate. I've seen it a lot, and it may be from the healthcare marketplace where you have, where you buy your own insurance pursuant to the Affordable Care Act. And you can see the industry average is to deny 16% of the claims. Now, I don't know when this says deny the claims, whether what's meant here is ultimately deny them or in the first instance. I might look at this in the best light to these companies as the ultimate denial. And of course, not every claim put through should be covered. I mean, I imagine some are not worth covering under the plan, or I shouldn't say worth, just aren't covered under the contract. But let's look at UnitedHealthcare. No wonder it's the third company in the United States with the most revenue. It apparently denies 32% of insurance claims. Oh my gosh. And then you get some little snark. Why is no one talking about the real reason for the UnitedHealthcare CEO's murder, violent video games, and so on? Okay. So that is what we see. Now, I got one more thing before I move on to brighter horizons, and then a critique of Donald Trump's cabinet picks, and then, of course, a little crazy town. What's come to light in the last couple days is some really interesting, helpful information for us about some of the rapacious aspects of corporate healthcare. And I just want to sort of back up and say I'm the child of a family doctor. My father was in general practice, and there is, of course, Medicare and Medicaid claims that he would file to get coverage from his patients and so on. And when the insurance companies moved in, I don't think he liked them at all, because they became this giant corporate middleman, basically siphoning off the money from the actual providers and from the patients and dictating what could and could not be done. Not the greatest situation. I am speaking, of course, here in generalities. And what I want to say to you again, one last thing before we move on to other topics, is that there is some shocking information in the wake of this this assassination of the CEO of the third largest company in the United States by revenue. I mean, he's the CEO of the health division there. One thing that is utterly shocking is people are now sharing some of the policies from other healthcare companies. And one of them that I had no idea about, I mean, absolutely no idea until yesterday, was that Blue Cross Blue Shield, not all of them, but I believe the Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield in Connecticut. And I'm going to share this with you because it is, let me just pull this up. It's too hard to believe unless you see it, unless you see it yourself. So let's look at this. This is, I did click through. This is something put out by the American Society of Anesthesiologists and a few months ago, but it just came up in the news now in light of this murder. And this says, this is from More Perfect Union, who shared it. Blue Cross Blue Shield in Connecticut, New York, and Missouri has declared it will no longer pay for anesthesia for the full length of some surgeries. If the procedure goes over a certain time, anesthesia will not be covered for the duration. I'm not sure if you understand what that means. If you want to not have blinding pain while they are removing your gallbladder, if it's a little more complicated, then either you are going to have to pay out of pocket or they are going to have to stop giving you the anesthesia while you are in the surgery, or doctors will be under pressure to hurry things up even when there are complications, knowing that you are about to be either in pain, physically, or financially. This is one of the most ghoulish things that I have seen. And I think if anything good comes out of this targeted killing, and nothing good should ever be associated with murder, if anything good comes out of this, this will be an awakening as to these terrible practices at these companies. Now, I just want to check in with you all and say, oh my gosh, Susan had a surgery that was 9 hours. She can't imagine. Okay, I'm just going to leave that there and just think about where we are. Now, let's take a little break to something pretty cool. I keep talking about Blue Sky. And, over the years, I have tried to, a couple of years ago, leave Twitter and go to Mastodon. It was complicated. I loved it, but it didn't have the juice in the way that I wanted a place where all the breaking news would be discussed, where if something happened like martial law in South Korea followed by the country pushing back, I could get all the commentary. I wanted a place where, just like yesterday and today, I could see how people were reacting to something as ghastly as a daylight murder of a CEO. I wanted that place. I wanted a place where we could talk about politics and music and law and love and feel like it was the place I would go. And it is Blue Sky. As you know, I don't have anything. If you go to my Twitter account, it's locked down. I've had a JavaScript delete everything. I'm not there anymore. And so I want to share with you someone who was pretty big on someone I followed on Twitter, who is now on Blue Sky, Parker Malloy, describing the experience she has on the new website on Joy Reid Show.
And I think that people like Blue Sky in particular, which I'm on Blue Sky, and I enjoy it. Yes, I enjoy it because it's a place that reminds me of what Twitter used to be. It's not an echo chamber. It's not a place where every single person agrees with me. Okay. I get in debates with people on there all the time. Yeah. But it's nowhere near as toxic, and I don't have to worry about literal Nazis in my mentions. And that's a low bar, but they've managed to so far meet it.
I mean, it's true. It's nice not to have literal Nazis and death threats. That's nice. I mean, so far, I've seen some trolls, not at me, but trolling other people, and I've blocked them on Blue Sky. But knock wood, I'm knocking wood. Not one single death threat yet. Not one single rape threat yet. Not one single anti-Semitic violence threat. No reason that I have to reach out to the local FBI. This is refreshing. And I don't want to, again, knock wood. So far, so good. Okay. One last thing before we pivot to Crazy Town, because we deserve Crazy Town today. We have, a nice take on Trump's picks. Donald Trump's picks for the cabinet by nerd Avenger Tara Setmeyer. She offered this commentary, and I think I want to share it with you. I also want to say I have not forgotten that Pete Hegseth has still not dropped out of the nomination to be Secretary of Defense. Apparently, he hasn't gotten the memo, right? And everyone is leaking about him because, not everyone, people who don't want him in the position keep leaking, even if publicly they're acting like they're going to support Donald Trump. So let me play for you what Tara has to say about all the picks in general.
Pence called him America's Hitler. Marco Rubio called him a con artist. RFK Jr. called him a sociopath. Pete Hegseth called him an armchair tough guy. Tulsi Gabbard called him Saudi Arabia's BITCH. Elise Stefanik called him a whack job. To you, what does that say about his leadership?
The guy bankrupted casinos. I mean,
in Atlantic City.
In Atlantic City, yes, in my home state of New Jersey. He has terrible judgment. He has said in front of students to never have anyone smarter than you in the room.
There you have it. We could do so much better, America. Now, one last thing about Pete Hegseth before we get into Crazy Town. We have heard we've heard things about Pete Hegseth, and let me just get this video for you. We've heard things about him, and I feel like I'm not going to get this video, sorry. But we have these people still defending him. And there was someone saying, but this is a guy where all these accusers are unnamed accusers. Well, do you know why some of them are unnamed? Because he has signed non-disclosure agreements with the woman he allegedly raped. So she's not allowed to actually come out in public and share her name. Other people who wrote emails and letters while he was at some of these veterans groups and were concerned about his behavior, why should they, if the press has verified their authenticity, why would they want to out them in an impending administration where someone like Kash Patel, who might lead the FBI, and Pam Bondi, who might be the future attorney general, is seeking out to target anyone who stands in the way of Donald Trump's agenda? Why should the press hang them out to dry? Which brings me to my very last comment before Crazy Town. Rumor has it that Joe Biden is contemplating preemptive pardons to people who would be on Donald Trump's target list. And that includes Liz Cheney. Of course, I can't think of off the top of my head anything that she did that would be arguably illegal. But I think it's brilliant. And I think Joe Biden should do it. When you have someone promising to deliberately target and criminally charge, like, as part of the Department of Justice, or civilly charge under the laws, which the DOJ can do, anyone who is a journalist or a politician who stood in Donald Trump's way, I think this is the moment to exercise that pardon power. Let's keep our eyes on that. Now it is time for a little Crazy Town. Okay. Today's Crazy Town relates to this odd conundrum that people find themselves in around being afraid of Donald Trump. And we've talked before how I thought it was a terrible idea for Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski to go to Mar-a-Lago and meet with Donald Trump. I've made clear that it'd be great to have him on the show, to have him phone in, but to actually, and I know they live in Florida, but nevertheless, to make the trip to his country club, the place in which he is making all kinds of threats against people, to go visit in his home an adjudicated rapist, someone who has been convicted on 34 felony counts, and to go there essentially to kiss the ring is not what journalists should do. And I understand that maybe they are rightfully afraid of being retaliated against. And I suppose the way to approach that would be to go ask Joe Biden for a preemptive pardon to protect the press, not to go suck up to Donald Trump. And you know that it's embarrassing when even Ted Cruz has your number. So this is crazy town, when I'm kind of agreeing with Ted Cruz and yet also disgusted by him. Let's play that. Here we go.
And then it goes further. Then you have Joe and Mika go to Mar-a-Lago and kiss the ring and suck up to Donald Trump. You can't make that story up.
Well, I'm not even sure they were kissing the ring. I think they were kissing a little bit lower than that.
Ew! I mean, it takes one to know one. He has his knee pads ready and waiting, knee pads on wheels. That's what I got for you, Ted Cruz. Sorry for the crassness this morning, and I will see you bright and early tomorrow at 8:30.